And our goal today is really arming you for success. So if we do our job well, when you're done, you guys will be the most educated and the most confident people out on that trade show floor. There's a lot of vendors out there, and we're going to tell you about what some of them will say and what they have to say, but when you get through with this, you should learn an awful lot about the different types of technologies and have a framework for how to think about things. I'd like to make sure, just to lay a little bit of ground rules, we keep this interactive. You know, we've got this set up with the tables and everything else, so you folks can feel free to raise your hand, jump up, and talk at any time that you've got a question. It's meant to be interactive. We've got the whole team here today, and they're all expecting questions, and really feel free to jump in. I will tell you, just from the start, ODINtechnologies, and we're the team that's running this, we're not teachers, we're not professional presenters, we're practitioners. So that's a little bit of caveat that things may not exactly go as smoothly as a Tony Robbins lecture you might have seen, but we have an awful lot of information. So if you guys have questions, or if there are things that come to mind, either make a note or just raise your hand, and we'll try and make sure we respond to that. Because we're really here, again, to promote the value and make sure you guys get the most out of today that you can. Oh, there's a couple of little announcements to make mention of. We've got the folks from Odin, particularly Carrie and Christina and back. Girls, if you could just wave your hand, who are signing folks up to win both a video camera and at our booth, which is 636, is that correct? At booth 636, we're giving massages. They're certified massage therapists, so they'll be giving massages out, and you guys get the first crack at the time slots. So sign up early, and apparently you can go more than once. So I'm the first one to go, so you guys will all have to sign up after me. If you are looking for an RFID partner, obviously we'd like you to consider ODINtechnologies, and want you to think that some of the material, you actually get a chance to trial run us today, because some of the material and information is indicative of the quality of deliverables and the work that we do for our clients. We're going to make a substantial announcement tomorrow about a new IT asset tracking benchmark that actually the financial services community commissioned us to start at. We've got an annotated version for the public that we're releasing tomorrow, and we hope that, for those of you who are considering asset tracking, you take a look at it. So again, welcome to RFID for Managers. Thank you very much for coming here. I know you had a lot of choices in other tracks to go to, and you had to get to the show a day early, but we really appreciate you coming in here, and we hope to give you your value for it. For some reason, there we go. So we're starting out the first session, and I'm going to lead it with something called warfare for managers. And it's an interesting topic, and it's got very little to do specifically with RFID. So first I want to show of hands. Anyone here in the Marine Corps or formerly in the Marine Corps? Any former Marines? Good man. What's your name, sir?
Tom.
Tom, are you still in?
No, got out about 8 years ago.
Got out about 8 years ago. Okay. Tom, you are going to be our inspirational leader today. Now, what do you say when a Marine does something good or something goes well?
Say hoorah, or certified, or...
Hoorah. Okay, we'll stick with the hoorah today. Give us a good one. That's fantastic. All right, now, when we're going to use that when we get together. I want everyone to practice, since we only have one Marine in here, so I want everyone to give a good, gutty hoorah. 1, 2, 3.
Hoorah!
That's not bad. It's kind of coming from the diaphragm, not up here. You got to kind of do it like Tom did from down there. So Tom, you're going to be our inspirational leader today, because we're going to talk about warfare for managers. And it's going to be an interesting session. It's going to give you the secrets to winning in anything. It's a bold statement. I know it's a bold statement. First, I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. You see the RFID for Dummies up there. I wrote that book. Jack Welch always says, if you're going to be in an industry, be number 1 or number 2 in your industry. That's got the dubious distinction of being the #1 selling book of RFID books. So there's only one person who can say that. Thank you, sir. So I did write RFID for Dummies. I always tell the story about the first copy. I told my dad I was writing a book. Didn't tell him what it was, but very pragmatic Irish immigrant, first generation, and I wanted to give him the book. So, and of course, I've got a big head, you know, all full of myself for having written a book and getting it published. And I give him the book, and he looks at it and he said, "Oh, geez, Patty, RFID for Dummies. That's grand." And I said, I know. He said, "I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you for two reasons." I'm thinking, yeah, I know. He said, number one, for getting a book published by a company like Wiley, great show, great marketing brand, and everything else. I said, yeah, I know. He said, number two, for sticking with an audience you know. So, you know, leave it to your father to keep you right on the level head when you're getting big. Well, what I'm going to talk about today, and I'll be with you guys right until about 10:15, covers four critical things. One is the introduction of a gentleman by the name of 42nd Boyd. And Tom probably knows who John Boyd is and has probably heard of him. Has anyone else in the audience heard of John Boyd? Nobody. Good. Well, we have a prize to give away to one of you folks that we'll be giving away in a little bit here shortly, that is going to tell you a little bit more in depth about John Boyd. But I'm going to cover some details first. The second thing is I'm going to give you the 3 keys to victory in anything. It's a bold statement. And you guys probably all saw City Slickers. Everyone see City Slickers? Raise your hands. So everyone knows that when Billy Crystal's out on the range with Curly, Curly says, "I'm looking for the one thing." And that was the one key to life. I'm going to give you the 3 keys to victory, because business and warfare and everything else is more complicated, so there's 3 keys. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll go through the RFID ecosystem and the market. So, 42nd Boyd is an interesting story. It's a guy by the name of John Boyd. And John Boyd started out as a Air Force cadet and rose up to become an Air Force colonel. And he was right in between a critical time in the nation's war time. He was too late, really, for Korea, and he was too early for Vietnam. So he didn't really see any action, but he was one of the best fighter pilots, arguably the best fighter pilot ever in the history of the United States. And he got the nickname 42nd Boyd because after he got out of fighter school and he was deployed for a while, he had just missed the tail end of Korea, they stationed him as a flight instructor. And Boyd spent most of his time trying to figure out what made dogfights so effective and how people won and who won. And he got so good at it himself that he had a standing bet that he could take up any new cadet, get him up to pattern altitude. When they got up, he'd let that cadet get it at 6 o'clock and get him engaged. And within 40 seconds, Boyd would maneuver around and lock up that cadet in radar lock and kill him. Standing bet that whoever was able to beat him within 40 seconds would win a steak dinner. He never lost. So John Boyd was arguably one of the greatest fighter pilots ever. And he started to figure it out. He was very cerebral about things. And he started to say, okay, what am I doing that's very different? And he started to write these things down. He came up with this theory called the energy maneuverability theory. And he started to think very much about how he handled air-to-air combat versus how it was taught and how other people did. What the Air Force ended up doing was commissioning Boyd to write the definitive handbook on air-to-air combat. That was in 1958, I think, was the year that he wrote it. There hasn't been one new maneuver added to that handbook since. So Boyd had a defining moment. So he took something and very much changed how it was done. Then he started to say, okay, what happens with different planes? How do different planes act? And he came up with a whole theory about what makes a good fighter plane. And he's largely considered the father of the F-15 and the F-16. He's an incredible guy, and most people have never heard of him because he never really published much. So there are a couple recent biographies, and we're going to give one away today. But Boyd came up with 3 keys to victory. And I'm going to tell you what those 3 keys are in just a few minutes. And he started out originally in air-to-air combat, and then he moved on.